Hello, OctoNation. We are live doing an Ask Octopus Scientist Anything, and this is for I guess it's Octopus Month, October. Back in 2019, I went on the news and I said, you know what? October is Octopus Month. So we needed a whole entire month to celebrate. And so today we went to go live with Octopus Scientists and ask them anything. So during this whole entire live stream, be sure to ask your questions below. Even if you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay crew in the comment section and ask your question. Maybe we'll check back periodically and answer them. But just wanted to say thank you for being here. Let us know in the comment section where you are tuning in from. We always love to see that because we have a global audience. And also in the comment section, put your favorite octopus. I always love to know people's favorite octopus. But without further ado, we're going to get started introducing everybody. And I guess we'll start with Chelsea.
Awesome. Thanks, Warren. Welcome, everyone. We're super excited to continue celebrating October Octopus Month. So I'm excited to be here with OctoNation and my fellow octopus scientists. We've got a great crew with us, and we're going to go around and tell you a little bit about ourselves, the research that we do, so you can start asking your questions. It can be research related, career related. I think all of us are at different areas in our career, so that'll be super exciting for those that are interested in a career path in marine biology or octopus biology. Feel free to ask away at those as well. So my name is Dr. Chelsea Bennice. I go by Octo Girl in the community, and I did not name myself that. I actually do a lot of field work for my research. So I'm an octopus behavioral ecologist. I look at their behavior and I relate that to their environment and how important environments are. So that can be the habitat they're using, their activity times, the prey that these animals need for survival. And so a lot of my work involves going out into the field, scuba diving, and looking at their natural behaviors. And so my study site is pretty popular in South Florida. So that's where I'm based, in South Florida. And I am a research scientist at Florida Atlantic University's Marine Science Lab. So a lot of field work that is in a very popular South Florida lagoon. And so I interact with the public a lot. So I have a big passion for community engagement and outreach. And so I would just go around to all of the divers in the area and ask them, hey, have you seen an octopus? Have you seen an octopus? Before I got really good at identifying or finding them in the wild, the photographers, underwater photographers, were my go-to people. And so then they just started like, oh, here comes the octopus girl again. And so they dubbed me Octo Girl since I've had probably 2,000 hours underwater. And so my big background is in that octopus behavior. With a background like that, that set me up for different research projects that involve their skin microbiome, their genetics, and I currently just finished a fellowship looking at octopus health parameters in a laboratory setting. So I'm going to pass it off to our next scientist. Let's see. Meg, you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Meg Mindlin. I am also an online science communicator that goes by invertebrate, which is really weird to say. I would call myself a molecular biologist. I study this molecular mechanism that squid, cuttlefish, and octopus do called RNA editing. So I'm primarily, looking at their genes, but also looking at their RNA, which is the precursor, really, to DNA. And so I like to study how their environment affects how they edit their RNA and what proteins that they change as a result. Am I supposed to mention other things?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Perfect. Let's go to Kirt next.
Hello, I'm Dr. Kirt Onthank. I am a professor of biology at Walla Walla University, and I'm also the director of Rosario Beach Marine Lab. And I am really interested, my area of study primarily is in how changing environments impact particularly octopus physiology. So I'm really interested in how octopus physiology adapts to things like ocean acidification and ocean warming, and kind of figuring out what the future of octopuses is going to be like on this planet as humans continue to mess with their environment. But then I have a lot of other side tangents of research that go along with that. I also look at behavior and ecology that go along with that, particularly in changing environments, but also just kind of really interested in physiology in general. So like the physiology of color change and the physiology of like prey selection and stuff like that. I mean, just whatever strikes my interest at the moment, I really enjoy studying. And I'm based up here in the state of Washington, and so I am diving in cold waters with giant Pacific octopuses and ruby octopuses and smooth-skin octopuses and stuff like that. And my research both is kind of split between stuff in the field, but then also stuff in the lab. And kind of back and forth like that. So anything else I should toss in there?
Oh, no, you're good. That's perfect.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Shades, let's go with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. C.E. O'Brien, and I go by Shades. I'm a professor at the School for Field Studies in the Turks and Caicos Islands. I live on a very small island, a little bit south of the Bahamas. And I'm really lucky here because we have at least 10 species that occur in very shallow water, so they're very easily accessible. And so my research is driven mainly by wondering what they do all day and why they do the things they do. So I'm looking at skin patterning, activity budgets, all sorts of different aspects of their behavior. And I'm doing it primarily in the field. So like going out at night and filming octopuses as they hunt, as they move around in their environments, setting up a lot of cameras and things like that to watch what they do when no one else is looking.
That's so cool. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of your videos. Caribbean Reef Octopuses for OctoNation. We, I don't know who said it. We get so many comments all the time, but just that those Caribbean Reef Octopuses, like that their deep webbing looks like ball gowns, how they kind of like canvas and entrap their prey. Is just so fun to watch.
I think they look a little bit too like Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
That's perfect for Halloween.
Yeah.
Cool, Chelsea. Do you have any questions, or where do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, well, is there any questions in the chat that we could take now? Or I think we have plenty to chat.
We have Sam from Octopuses already asking,
Sam,
where can we follow all these fantastic folks out there? Which is great to say in the beginning, because it is really fun to follow active scientists out there. And I'll let you all, let people know where to find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook. It's Octogirl. Octogirl was taken on Instagram, so it's the Octogirl. That's on Facebook and Instagram. So those are the main social media platforms that I use for science education and outreach. And also I serve as the scientific advisor for OctoNation. So you'll probably see me on the OctoNation platform if you haven't already.
Cool, Meg. What about you?
Yeah, so I'm on all social media platforms as Invertebabe. On Instagram, there is a dot between in and Invertebabe because my username also got taken on Instagram. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I love following Meg. She's like the rock star of social media. Like I just love following her and her takes. So,
I'm just a chronically online girl. That's all
yeah.
I take.
If you like to hear if you like to hear fun, straight shooting, like rock star content, definitely follow her. Kirt, where are you at?
I was not smart like the other people and make everything the same. And so I am on TikTok at the Octopus Guy. And that's mostly where I post, but I'm also on YouTube and try to cross post there at Octopodium, which sounded clever at the time. And then I'm on Instagram, which sometimes I also cross post to, but less as Kirt Onthank because yeah. So there you go. It's all over the place, and I'm the polar opposite of Meg, where I will post a whole bunch and then not a lot for a while, and then like a flurry when I got time, and then like not a lot for a while.
And Kirt, also you have your own webpage or your website with everything that you're doing and your student publications and your publications that everyone can kind of like follow as well, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's that as well, which is not an easy one. It is. Hold on. I gotta remember what this is.
Oh dear.
Oh gosh.
It's gab.wallawalla.edu/tilde-Kirt Onthank. I should put it in the chat or something.
Gosh.
Okay, there it is. Yeah, it is. Okay.
We need to get a vanity URL to that stat.
I do need to. Yeah, I'll do something like that. Okay.
Jez, what about you? Where are you at?
I'm on Instagram. You can follow me at OctoShades.
Nice. Now that we've done this kind of in the beginning, I guess we don't have to do that at the end. So hopefully everybody was following while watching. Okay, let's see. We have any question right here. This is a question for everyone. Is there any species that can lay eggs more than once? And what species would that be? And what caused that species to have that ability? I think anybody could answer this.
The lesser and larger Pacific striped octopus.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the little weird ones. I don't know if we don't have like a cause. We don't know why they can do it more than once. I mean, there's other octopuses that can continuously spawn, but I think, which is a lot of the deep sea octopuses and argonauts, but I think lesser and larger are the only ones that are like actually classified as idioparous, which means that they can like lay multiple egg clutches.
There's some pretty cool lore, though, around the person who discovered the larger Pacific striped octopus, though, if anybody knows the story. Kirt, do you know?
And no one believed him.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think most people here can answer the story, but yeah, like he found it and didn't like tried to write it up for publication, tried to work with some people to write up with publication, if I remember right, but essentially no one saying octopuses believed him, which I'm gonna cry like innocence in this because that's before I was an octopus scientist.
Well, they tried looking for them and they couldn't find them.
Yeah, so they finally convinced the two people that were really instrumental in rediscovering them was Roy Caldwell at Berkeley and California Academy of Sciences. What is his name at the aquarium at CAS? Richard Ross. Yeah, Richard Ross. Yeah, and so they kind of decided like, okay, we think this is probably a thing, and worked with him to go back down and try to rediscover it, and they did. Mm-hmm. And now the MBL has a breeding line of them, and so it's a cool story.
Yeah, they haven't been formally described yet, though.
No, they have not.
No, we don't have a fun name, unlike the lesser. Like we got Chicherai, but we don't have the larger.
Churchii, yeah.
Churchii?
I don't know. I don't quite know how to pronounce it. I just say things and hope I'm not horribly wrong.
We know is working on a book actually right now about that story. So we'll let OctoNation know when it's coming out. I don't know if she's actually announced it, so I probably don't want to say anything right now.
You know, like I thought about it in my head, and then I don't know if we're supposed to say anything.
Let's just pretend that never happened.
Great. No.
Okay.
That's
Sam
like
said
information. They just got.
Said I thought it was the Harlequin octopus, but why hasn't it been formally described yet?
There's like multiple names for them at this point. Because lesser Pacific striped, zebra pygmy octopus, and then larger Pacific striped and Harlequin, I think are their like two names respectively.
Yeah, so I feel like in science that's like the issue with common names when like one area of scientists may talk about and say Harlequin, and then the other one may call it something else. And so that's why it's important that we describe and have scientific names. So if we're talking about the same species. or not. And I think with this conversation, you saw that like first there was some data, no one believed them, and then scientists went back out and gathered more. But there's I feel like why it hasn't been described yet, and this is also for other species of octopus. Warren can definitely talk about one of his favorites, the hairy octopus, doesn't have a scientific name or has not been fully described yet. And so that's because we don't have enough data or information to give it a scientific name. And so especially when you are describing a new species, you need a lot of information. And I think Kirt's kind of potentially going through this right now, to where it's like genetic information is needed to see if it's a new or different species. And then, we have to do the morphology of the animal. So it's external morphology and also internal morphology. They use certain characteristics to see or to tell if it's a new species or not. So a lot of information and a lot of data it goes into describing a species, and then if you're going to give it a scientific name, or if it is actually a new species or not. So it's a lot of work and a lot of data.
We had somebody up here, Sonia. She says, do we know, or can we know, if baby octopuses learn anything from their mothers before they hatch? She spends so much time with them before they hatch and almost none after.
That's a very interesting idea. There's no documented evidence of that yet, but their eggs are see-through, so it is possible that they could learn through observation during that time.
There is also, it's not octopuses, but it's cuttlefish, where they did that study that showed that what cuttlefish were exposed to while they were in the egg cases informed a lot of their decisions, like post-hatching. So, like, I wouldn't be totally surprised if that was a similar case with octopuses.
I think that was in cephalopod behavior. Was it embryonic learning? Is that what they called it? I think the study was they even developed food preferences potentially.
Yeah. So it was like if they were more exposed to shrimp when they got out, they were more likely to go catch shrimp. Or if they were more exposed to crabs, they were more likely to go out and catch crabs.
Yeah, which is wild.
We're gonna have to start writing these down as like new projects.
Yeah, right.
Keep our list going.
It was one of the books that I read. I remember when I was first obsessed, and I was like, what books could I read? And that was one of the first books where I was just like, oh my gosh, more people need to know about this. This is really cool.
Just a dense book.
Yeah, it is a dense book. It's not one of those ones that you just throw out.
No, it's just all studies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good.
Sam from Octopus says, what are the implications of the recent rubber arm test on octopuses? Does this prove they have proprioception? Do we know that test? Is anybody familiar with it? Nobody's familiar.
There's like some. I'm like watching everyone.
You stumped the panel, Sam. Thanks for that. We'll have to look more into it. Maybe do this again.
It's mostly like I don't know. I don't know what I think about that test yet. Okay. Like I read the paper and I still don't quite like. This is one of the things is like and I don't know. Maybe y'all can like comment on this as well. But like as a sign, like I'll read a paper, and there's some papers that it just takes me a while to like fit it into what I'm thinking, like my overall ideas about cephalopods, and to reconcile it with other things. And that's one of them that I have. I mean, another one that was like that was like the marshmallow test one with the cuttlefish, where it took me a while. And that's another one where I'm still kind of like, But the rubber arm test is one that I'm kind of like, that's really intriguing. That's really interesting. I'm still trying to like figure out what I think about it. And so that's why at least I was sitting here like, I don't really know what to say about it yet. So anyhow, that's
You got further than me. It's like sitting on a stack on my desk, and I'm like, haven't even read it yet.
What do you say, Chase?
It touches on one thing that I think is really interesting about octopuses, which is kind of the disconnect between their central brain and their arms. Like when I'm following one in the field, I always get the sense of they kind of don't quite know exactly what their arms are doing at any given moment. They just kind of like give it a general command and they go ahead and do that. But like if they want to reach for a particular object, it often takes them a second, a couple tries to actually like touch that object, just because there isn't very good sensory communication between the arms and the rest of the body.
Yeah.
So you potentially think that the paper could be an oversimplification of how...
No, not necessarily. I read the paper, but I don't understand it well enough to be able to make any big claims about it. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, I have.
Sorry.
I was
just gonna say, I like when I look at papers, for me personally, I'm always the first to just be like, when I'm reporting for OctoNation or doing science communication, is I kind of don't know, half of it is just like getting people interested in octopuses, or is it like who should weigh in potentially before we publish stuff on OctoNation. So I always go to Chelsea and I'm always just like, should we talk about this? And she's like, I'd wait on that one. Or so she's the arbiter here at OctoNation.
Great. So everyone's going to look at me for this paper and I'm saying, I have not read the paper yet. So at least like, I guess I got that going for me. I don't know. So I guess I have to read the paper, but I'm just thinking about just like in general, octopus information, their ability to sense their position, equilibrium, and everything, where they're at. And so they have staticists. I kind of think of it as like our inner ear to sense like their balance and momentum and where they are, and also like you can tell with kind of the reason why we see octopuses with that horizontal pupil, even if they are, they are all in these weird positions when they're in the wild, but usually you see their eye and their pupil is, horizontal, and that's the sense, we can know that is their equilibrium, and they can gauge like where they're at. And so them being able with their arms, not necessarily their vision to, their arms and their arm suckers, being able to, they know different like shapes and sizes that touch and taste. However, there are now some ongoing studies to see about the different weight of objects, if they can tell the difference of that different weight, and possibly if they're using different arm parts for those different weighted objects. So I think that's in the works as well.
Someone said some papers need 5 to 7 business days to process.
Sometimes longer.
I feel like even,
5 to 7 is quick.
I love that statement. I'm going to use that the next time like someone, is like, have you read this yet? And I'm just going to be like 5 to 7 business days, or like, it might be more.
It's more like the old infomercials where it's like 6 to 8 weeks for delivery. It's more like that.
Yes. Well, we have an 11-year-old on. Hello, Co. I've always loved octopuses. I live in Vancouver, and mine is the giant Pacific. What is yours and why? Favorite octopus?
Polkadotopus.
Love that. Good one.
I'm gonna say I still know it as Cirrothalma magma, but now it's an Optiotuthis magma, and I think the common name is big jellyhead, which I feel very weird about. But that's probably.
Is there any way we can pull up a photo, like? Any fast Googling here, Warren, or like while Meg still describes it, like what does that look like?
I don't know the polka dot octopus off the top of my head.
Warren, I have a picture of that on the file I sent you.
Oh, which one?
The Polkadotopus. It's Callisto Octopus Purvis.
A beauty.
Octopus Purvis,
yeah.
That's
I love that one. It's gorgeous.
They do that when they're scared. That's their "I'm afraid" pattern.
So that was going to be my next question, Shades. Do
sorry.
they? Oh no. You can elaborate, because I feel like, well, let us know. I thought that this species always had those white polka dots like all the time, and then do they just like, are they enhanced when it's threatened or startled? It looks like, oh, it doesn't look like it really has them there, or do they go away?
So they always have the dots, but they get a lot smaller. So like in the video playing right now, you can see the dots on the arms, but they're like, I don't know, 10% of the size as when in that other photo. So yes, they are always visible, but it's when they're like very startled. Like if you move suddenly and they're startled by the movement, they'll spread their arms out in that diamatic display and then display the polka dots for a second before they jet away.
Sorry.
I was just saying, I feel like octopuses on the screen just make everything better all the time. So like, if people don't care about humans.
Is the polka dotopus local to you, Shade?
Yes, so it's it lives in all of the tropical Western Atlantic. So it's all the way down to Brazil, Caribbean, even in Florida, the Bahamas, Bermuda as well.
I still haven't seen it. I need to find it in Florida.
You gotta come visit.
I know. How big is this animal?
So the largest ones, they can get to be about like this big. I guess a good
like a dinner plate or
dinner plate or football size. I don't know. Their mantle maybe the size of a Nerf football.
Okay, that's a good size.
Do they do the spiky mantle like Ludus does?
They can, yeah.
Here, I have a sticker of Ludus.
Ooh, yes,
which is
they
the
do
starry
that.
night octopus.
And one of the other cool things about them is they change their mantle shape a lot more than the other species that I'm familiar with. So they can go from really elongated to like almost like completely round, like a ball.
Wow.
They look like a sand octopus.
They are, yeah, that is their typical habitat.
I love me a sand octopus. Does this species burrow?
Yes. It's actually very cool to watch. I didn't include a video of that, but they actually will like stick their arms in the sand, and it looks like through a combination of moving their arms around and blowing water into the sediment with their siphon that they can actually kind of liquefy it and like go into the sediment that way.
This is a good topical question. Do all octopuses have fixed markings that remain localized in a specific places on their body?
To an extent, yes, but they often will be expressed more or less depending on the pattern.
Okay, we're still going on to favorite octopuses. Kirt, did you mention yours?
I haven't. And okay, so I'm kind of partial to the octopus species I've worked with. And so Cove, like you, I really like giant Pacific octopuses, but they're my favorite species. I get them a lot. They're very, I like octopuses for their personalities. And giant Pacific octopuses are like the chillest species of octopus I've ever worked with before. Like they are just they don't care about anything. Anyways, but the octopus species that I like the most is the one I work with the most, which is a ruby octopus, which is the exact opposite. They're like the least chill octopus I have ever worked with before. They are feisty. They are the most likely species I know of to bite you. They're bitey little things. Yeah, and also, I mean, so this species. When we go in to work with them with our hands, you put your hands in the tank. And if you're not careful, they'll come grab your hand, grab another piece of part of the tank, and try with all of their might to pull you into the tank. Yeah. They have like little octopus. They're about the size of your fist, all told. That's with their arms curled up. But yeah, just their personality, they're feisty. They have this little octopus syndrome. They're kind of grumpy. It really reminds me. And here's the thing that I like in finding. What's that?
My spirit animal.
Yeah. The thing I love here is in Finding Dory, Hank was modeled after a ruby octopus.
Not a GPO.
Not GPO. It was a ruby octopus that they modeled it after. and he has the grumpy attitude of like an actual ruby octopus, which I don't think, like, there's no intention there, but it happened. Which, by the way, I really love kind of like this trope that's been happening in media lately of the grumpy, like, curmudgeonly octopus. I feel it fits at least some of the species I like, between Hank and between incredibly bright remarkably bright creature. Oh, I'm so bad. Anyways, like
Did you
that
actually
trope.
read that now? Sorry, that's off topic.
I read that a long time ago. Hold on, that's not the one I haven't read. I've read that.
That's the
I read
best
that like 3 years. I read that before you came to my lab, Meg.
You have lied to me because Aaron told you to read that, and you were like, "Oh, I haven't done it yet." Or am I thinking of a different book? This is all.
You're thinking of a different book.
Okay.
No, I read that. Okay, what's that?
There's 2 fiction books with octopus: A Mountain in the Sea and Remarkably Bright Creatures.
Yeah. So what is the one?
Oh, I don't know. And honestly, I'd toss in Children of Ruin is also very good.
Yeah.
I like Children of Ruin. Okay, sorry. I've talked way too long. I've been just ranting.
No, I'm just curious if the chat has read Remarkably Bright Creatures, or what is your favorite octopus book? If you could put that in the chat so we can look at some of these. Maybe there's some that we don't know about. Yeah.
Yeah. I probably need
Other Minds.
Other Minds.
Other Minds is the best nonfiction one, in my opinion. With Monarchs of the Sea being second, but I guess that's not octopus. It's more squid.
Yeah, we got another vote for Other Minds. Cool. We're still on favorite octopuses. Chelsea, you mentioned.
Somebody asked in the chat what an octopus bite feels like.
Yeah.
I've never been bit. I don't know.
I've never been bit. I don't know. I am proud of this fact. I've had literally thousands of ruby octopuses in my lab at this point. I've never been bit. The only people that at least come to my lab and work with these that get bit are other professors that come and work in my lab and think they know what they're doing and then get their dumb hands bit. My students, me and my students do not get ourselves bit. We know what to do. We know how to handle them without. But no, it's those other professors that come in and think they know what they're doing. So I don't know.
It hurts.
One student. Oh, go.
It hurts.
Shades,
you've been bit?
Like a sting? Like a bee sting? Or is it
like a bee sting. Yeah. It was a small guy, so he wasn't. No, but the venom like sat in my arm for a month.
Oh.
What does that feel like? Was there like a lump?
Just sore. Kind of blue. So don't pick up an octopus.
What species? I'm really curious.
It reminds me of like
it was Furbus actually.
Oh.
We always get videos sent to us from all over the world, and you'd be surprised at how many people send us videos of them playing with blue-ringed octopuses. It's actually not an insignificant amount of people where I'm just like, hey, can we not do that?
Yeah.
They're lucky that blue rings are so chill.
In general, you should not pick things in the ocean up unless you know exactly what they are. Yeah. And even then, you might not know exactly what they are.
If it has a bright color, it is a warning signal.
Somebody asked in the chat about blue rings and tetrodotoxin.
Oh yeah, they said, what species produce tetrodotoxin? What octopus species?
So they all produce some toxin, but most species, it only affects crabs and shrimp.
I think the only ones that have tetrodotoxin are in the blue ring genus, because there's like blue line. There's 3 of them.
There's at least 4 of like blue ringed, or then the 3 blue ring, maybe out of 4 for blue lined, but then I think there's a few undescribed species. So there's talk of maybe up to like 7 or so of the bros, the blue ring octopuses. And then I know how to throw that in there. Warren, isn't there another one?
Yeah, the
Octopus motati?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like the one that has it looks like a 2-spot because it has the 2, but it has these really bright white, well, in its defensive coloration, it has these really bright white and brown, dark brown lines.
I went looking into that guy the other day, and I think they don't actually have evidence of it having tetrodotoxin. They only think that it does because of the warning coloration.
Well, that's bold of them.
I think that's the one, because I
don't know.
remember somebody asked me and they're like, well, doesn't this one have it? And like everything on Google tells you yes. And then I went into the cephalopoda of the world and it was like, we think it has it, but a sample's never been taken.
Interesting. All right. Well, I guess
Wouldn't be the first time then.
Yeah.
We've done something like that.
Like OctoNation's got some work cut out, to whereas I know I got at least 2 papers that I need to read so we can figure out and push out to the crowd like what's going on. Yes, that's a pretty one. Who we are talking about.
I call that one Beetlejuice, just because I love the stripe.
Oh, I love that.
A lot of species though have that blue ocellus without being toxic though, or deadly toxic.
The tetrodotoxin.
Yeah.
That California 2 spot. It's really interesting. Like they have like this chain link, kind of blue
inside that blue, yeah.
One of the 2 species is 2 spot. There's like the Bimaculoides and Bimaculatus. I think it's Bimaculoides has the chain link and the Bimaculatus does not. I can't remember.
What I love about OctoNation and just the underwater photographers all over the world, because there are some underwater photographers that have like their species that they photograph, like Magnus Lundgren. He, for whatever reason, every single time he goes out and he finds a blanket octopus, it's like, how are you doing this? I don't like, they just are attracted to him, I guess, in the water. There was one that said that locals refer to the poison ocelot, is it called the matoide, or how do you say that, Kirt? Matoide.
I am totally guessing here, but it's like motati is how I've always
pronounced it. Like, that's so hard to say. So he's like, locals typically refer to it as the two ring blue ring, and I was like, huh. And I was like, so that also, made me speculate, do they call it the 2-ring blue ring because they know that it has tetrodotoxin? So we definitely have to look more into that, because that's what the locals refer to that species as. So maybe they know something we don't, but I'll follow up with everybody. Let's see.
Good questions.
Yeah. Going back to the favorite octopus, though, Chelsea, did you mention that is it the lassos of the world?
Yes, well, especially the one that I study in South Florida, the Atlantic longarm octopus, Macrotripus staphylopi, which we're working on the genetics, and it could potentially be reclassified. But it's part of the long-arm sand octopus group, so LASSO. I'm really hitting off with these acronyms, LASSO, ROSE, all of it. And in science, I guess we love acronyms. So that is one of my study species, and I just love how weird it is. And I think you have to think about it, for a lot of these octopuses are living in structure, reefs, and then we have these weirdos that just live in sand, and they got to figure out, well, how the heck am I going to live in sand, forage, feed, and create my home or my den? And you heard from Shades that they do this disappearing trick of, they not just only like blow like sand and like move it around them, but they actually like create burrows and tunnels under the sand, which is really interesting because we keep trying to figure out, and all the sand octopuses, it seems like at least some of them do it a little bit different, depending on probably how fine or coarse the sand or mud environment is. So we're really interested, how octopuses live in these sandy environments and what they're doing to these microhabitats, kind of serving as ecosystem engineers, what other animals can live potentially in these burrows, so how they're changing their environments. So I love my little sand octopus. They are a mimic octopus, so they mimic the flatfish or flounder in the area. And I always like to be their cheerleader, because you hear mimic octopuses and you think of the Indo-Pacific species like the mimic octopus wonderpuss, but we've got a mimic in the Western Atlantic, and I like to show it off. And so it's a small octopus, its mantle, the part behind the octopus's head. This is why I brought all my stuffed animals. I'm sure everyone in the crowd knows, but just a little Octopus 101. The mantle right here on our Atlantic longarms is like 2 to 3 inches max. And so they're very tiny with extremely long, slender arms. And they like to do weird behaviors like raising their mantle completely vertically and back down. They stand really, really tall, like a lookout tower or a lifeguard like little chair, I like to say. So we're figuring out like why they do all these weird behaviors. So it's super cool.
When I first met Kirt, I remember he's the one who actually introduced the smooth skin octopus to me. And when he was explaining it, I was just like, wait a minute, like, how have I never heard about this species in my life? And he was like, yeah, we're trying to champion it. And but this whole idea that there's a species that kind of like swan dives into this muddy sediment and does create these burrows. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about it, Kirt, because I remember I was like, I'd never heard about this species before.
Sure. Yeah, no. And so, I mean, when I first found it, the first one I found, I thought was a baby giant Pacific octopus. I was actually looking in this muddy area for bobtail squid, actually, or stubby squid. Yeah, my bad. I've been working with Rebecca too long on her bobtails. Anyway, so we're cruising along, and I see this little octopus, and the thing is that where we are, there had only been like 2 shallow water species of octopuses that we had known about, the giant Pacific octopus and the ruby octopuses in that area. So my mind was immediately like, it has to be one of those 2 species. Which one is it? And it looked a little bit more like a giant Pacific octopus, so I thought it's that. And I was trying to communicate to my dive buddy, like, all while having something in my mouth, like it's going to get bigger. It's a giant Pacific octopus. And then as I'm doing that, it immediately like just dives down into the mud. Oh, I should have showed. I got videos of this and I didn't. Okay, anyhow. So, and when that happened, I knew it wasn't a giant Pacific octopus. And so, yeah, I tried to catch it. I couldn't be that one because I was digging up the sediment and it's just going everywhere. And like, okay, that octopus is gone. But I found 3 more during that dive and we collected them. And it turns out, like, I'll save you all the in between, but it turns out it's a deep water species of octopus. The entire genus Moose octopus is a genus of deep water octopuses. And this one we found in 30 feet of water. It was kind of insane. It's the shallowest, not only that this species has ever been recorded, but that entire genus has ever been recorded. And, yeah, it looks like this deep water species of octopus is now pushing into shallower water, which is kind of incredible and interesting. They have no ink, like they have all the classic deep water octopus characteristics. They have no ink sac, so there's no ink sac on them. Their chromatophores are really reduced. They don't change color. They dive, they burrow down into mud, like really fine mud. Yeah, and they're pushing into shallower water, which is really interesting. So, I mean, they're kind of a testament to a trend that's happening with octopuses and really cephalopods overall that looks like cephalopods are going to be winners in climate change, which they have all of this incredible ability to adapt, which I could rant on for a very long time. And smooth skin octopuses seem to be like a really good exemplar of this because they're pushing into habitats we've never seen them before. And we have story after story after story of octopus species doing that, pushing into habitats, pushing the ranges that they haven't been. Oh, thank you. There it is. Cutie pie. Yeah. And yeah, so and we don't know what's going to happen to them or what they're going to do to other things. As we're pushing into these new habitats. But yeah, it's really incredible. There we go. We got burrowing one. We had one. We set some ant farms up essentially for these octopuses to burrow into. And here is a view of one in its burrow in one of these ant farm type dens. We tried to actually. One of my former grad students who's now working with Chelsea down in Florida, and I saw was in the chat there. Yes, Shane. We tried to get molds of their burrows to try to see what the burrow morphology is looking like, and that didn't work. I want to try harder at that, but he did like an entire thesis on different aspects of their burrowing behavior and the morphology on them that seems to maybe help with burrowing. But anyways, I could rant about them for a while.
Mhm.
I will shut up while no one hates me yet. Yeah.
We had somebody ask about the Caribbean reef octopus because they said their favorite breed or species is the Caribbean reef octopus. Can you provide more information on their color change behavior? Also, how do you tell a male from a female of this breed?
You should show that video, Warren,
Well.
that I put on mute.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is their third right arm is hectocotylized. It's very hard to see, though, unless you capture them and actually grab their arm. So I usually can't tell when I'm out in the wild with them.
So do you know, Shades, with that species, so the hectocotylus is, third right or third left, depending on the species. And it's modified. Do you know in the Caribbean reef if it's also shorter than the
I'm
other
not sure, actually.
third arm?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's crazy because I started doing morphology on the common octopus that we have here, and we're reinstating the name from Octopus vulgaris to Octopus americanus. So we did genetics and morphology on that animal, and it's a little bit tricky in the common octopus, but for I'll let you guys watch the Caribbean reef here in shallow water.
This is a pattern called the passing cloud, which it does every so often. And this guy, for whatever reason, just did it over and over and over again in the span of a couple minutes.
I love it.
Yeah. But anyway, you were saying, Chelsea?
Yeah, I was just curious because in some species there is a significant length difference between the third arm. So if the male's hectocotylus is the third right arm, it will be much shorter than the left third arm. And I see this in the Atlantic long arm octopus, to whereas I feel like it's kind of hard, but then as soon as you see it once, you're like, oh, yep, now I know how to identify if it's a male or female. And so I wasn't sure for this species if it is that distinct of a difference to where it's it's as soon as you potentially see it in the field, but they have really long webbing, which the long arm doesn't, so that can make it tricky.
Yeah, actually, Warren, there's also another picture of two Briareus that I found a couple weeks ago mating. And the only way I could tell the male and the female apart is their relative position to each other. So this was actually a female, and she dragged that male around. She was just trying to eat. She actually had several crabs in her web, and she kept moving around and dragging this guy with her, and he wouldn't let go for about 40 minutes. But yeah, I couldn't see his arm, so I couldn't see if it was shorter or not, Chelsea.
Yeah, so usually I feel this is one of the mating positions, and then usually we'll try to check to see if that third right arm goes inside the female's mantle cavity to deposit that sperm. But yeah, if they're separated, I feel that could be really hard depending on what that arm looks like.
Ever since that one research paper came out with the blue-lined octopuses biting in, do you think that could be potentially happening here too? Do you think they?
It's possible. They do. All species of octopus do have a venom that paralyzes crabs, but I don't know if you would. There's no documentation of that happening with this species. So
yeah. I know there's a few different types of, mating positions. There's a little piggyback ride, and then there's sometimes if they're of similar size, I've heard it could be a little piggyback ride. And sometimes you'll see the male and the female separated, and then the male will just extend his arm really long with a good distance from the female. And sometimes that's when they are two different sizes, and maybe the male might be a little nervous about the large female, having him as a snack for later.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think the arm difference, the hectocotylized arm being shorter than the other ones, is there a chance that's also just that arm being cut off at some point and then regrowing?
So
Sorry.
usually I think, and I've read is like it's shorter to protect that arm, and so it's and they usually keep it close when they're out foraging, they're just exploring, and usually when we see them out in the wild, lots of arms will have missing arm tips of like fish or crabs nipping at them. You can only imagine that they are just like exploring down a hole, and they don't know what's down there, and then they come up and like missing arm tips. So they are definitely shorter arm to help protect that. I think Shay's wanted to.
I think this is a good question. Well, it's not really a question, it's just a statement. I don't like octopuses as much as last year, but I still do. And the reason I brought that up was because what particularly drives everyone's curiosity here to continue studying this animal, because you've been studying it for a long time. Did you ever fall out of love, with the octopus and go do something else? Do you ever have fantasies about being a biologist for a completely different animal? Curious. What keeps your curiosity and fascination going? And whoever feels like they have an answer, go for it.
I feel like every question I ask and research just gives me more questions.
Yeah. Every time I go out and watch them, they do something that is just completely bizarre, and I want to know why.
Yeah, I just keep wanting to know more. I'm never satisfied with the answer I'm given.
Yeah, I would say we're kind of like scientists, or like big kids, or we never grow up. Like we are curious, and we like to ask questions, and even answering basic science questions of exploration and discovery, like we are super excited to do. And it can potentially, like, this basic science can lead to other discoveries for other fields. And I just finished a research project that looked at octopus arm flexibility, and that could be considered basic science of like how the octopus move their arms and why that's important for sensing their environment, but also has inspiration or applications to soft robots. And different fields like art. I was contacted by a art student in France that's doing an octopus animation, and they're trying to figure out how to really get down how an octopus moves and their behavior, because the octopus animation is like the star of the show. And it was really cool that they contacted me, and they're like, hey, we just saw your paper. We saw the ethogram, which is a catalog of defined behaviors. We saw that, and so we put it into whatever software program they use.
Was it this one?
There she is. She's a beaut. And so they put it into a software program, and I'll also be giving them additional video. And I'm like, this is so cool. Now we're using science also for art. And so it's really, of course, curiosity questions, but I also love being able to communicate the science and talk to, I guess, different communities about it and connect with all these people in different fields.
What about you, Kirt?
So for me, okay, so I mean, they're amazing and all that, but I mean, the thing that really kind of distills down to me, especially as a physiologist, but I think this goes for like all kind of areas of them, is that you have them as this kind of island in the evolutionary landscape. They're this island of intelligent complexity that's separate from vertebrates. And they have arrived on what is so fascinating to me is they face a ton of the same challenges that vertebrates do. And so they've had to evolve to meet those challenges, but they're doing it with the kind of physiological body plan toolkit of a snail. And so there's so many different things that they solve the same things that we have had to solve and other vertebrates have had to solve to be a large, active, metabolically high rate animal that is a predator, but doing it in completely different ways. And it's just endlessly fascinating to me to find all the different ways in which octopuses have, and honestly cephalopods in general, have found different ways to do the exact same thing that we have done. So I'll make one example of this is that just for me to nerd out just for a second here, is that there are 3 hearts. So they have 3 hearts. Now it's to solve the same problem that you have solved in having 4 chambers in your heart, in that once you pump blood through your gas exchange organ, your lungs, your blood is now at low pressure, and you need to repressurize it to send it back out to your body at higher pressure so you can be an active animal. If it's at low pressure, as soon as you try to get up and run, or an octopus would try to swim, they'd pass out. You can't maintain like this active lifestyle with that low pressure. So you send your blood from your lungs and back to your heart again to get repressurized and pumped out again. So that's why you have 4 chambers of your heart. Now, octopuses went like a completely different round, saying, instead of getting more chambers to our heart and looping it back to the same heart again, we're just going to make more hearts. And so each gill gets its own heart. And then once we go through the gills, we need to repressurize this again. We're going to send it back to a beefy heart in the middle, and we're going to pump it back out. Same problem, same exact problem that you have had. But octopuses, just as I know, we're going to do it in a completely different way. And they've kind of had to do that because their starting point is so different. Like their starting point is like clam and snail physiology, and they have somehow used these spare parts from these low metabolic animals to make this high metabolic, really like just active, complex animal. Same thing with their brains. Like they have taken the parts of like a clam and a snail and created a whole new brain. I'm being very anthropomorphic here, but forgive me for a second. They've created a whole new brain, done something that you have also done, gotten a big brain, but just gone in a completely different direction to do it. And so their brain architecture is just completely different than basically any other, animal that we know about. And that, to me, like that is the core of it. Is any other animal that I would end up studying would either be not very complex, or it would be the same iteration on a theme that people have been studying over and over again. It's like the basic vertebrate model, just over and over and over again. And also that's kind of boring to me. So like cephalopods just have like this, yeah, anyhow.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, they figure out it's just different. It's just so different. And really another thing that really, just to add on one other thing that kind of makes this interesting is that, so when I was going through graduate school, I was told over and over and over again not to study cephalopods. And the reason for that is that they're incredibly hard to study. And I was doing a lot of lab stuff. So I do field stuff and I do lab stuff. And especially on lab stuff, people are saying like, hey, don't do octopuses. You're never going to be able to make a career doing something with octopuses because they're so incredibly hard to take care of in the lab or collect in the wild, that you are going to spend all your time just caring for the octopuses and doing that, and you won't actually ever be able to do the science. And so much biology has been done on super simple animals that are incredibly easy to take care of in the lab. These little nematodes, these fruit flies, and in marine things, Aptasia, that are basically pests in most people's aquaria, is what we've done all this science on. And what that means is people have been following that advice for generations and not studying octopuses because you wouldn't get much science done. And then I was just like really like stubborn and hard-headed. I'm like, no, I'm going to do this anyways. I don't care if my like career flames out. I want to do something I want to do. And so I went that direction. And honestly, I don't get as much work done as if I studied something very, very simple. But the cool thing about it is so little has been done. And so the things that have been long done in like mice and flies and all humans and everything else simply hasn't been done. So we're moving into like all of these basic questions that we have really good answers for other animals. We simply do not know in octopuses. I was at a talk just a while ago, and I was talking about RNA editing, and then someone was like, so what about epigenetics? I don't know anyone that's done anything with epigenetic in octopus, and that'd be super interesting. But simply we're at such exactly, but it's hard, and that's what makes that's why no one's done it. But that's the cool thing. It's like they're doing everything completely differently. Like anything that we can think of vertebrates do, cephalopods probably do it, but just do it in like a completely opposite way. And no one has looked at, like in so many of these things, no one has looked at any of this stuff. So it's like the Wild West. Or whatever, there's probably a better analogy out there, but like it's just such unexplored territory, and it makes it endlessly interesting to be a scientist in this area. I really hate to do this. I gotta go
You might
because I'm 3 minutes late for a presentation practice with a student.
That's
Thank
fine,
you all
Kurt.
for letting me be here.
For
I
sure.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Kurt. That was an excellent segue out. I loved that message.
See you, Kurt. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're gonna end soon, anyways, because I know you all have a life to get back to. And for those of you watching, we want to do definitely more live stream programming. I was just gonna say I couldn't give Kurt his flowers because he just logged off, but we need to get him a TED Talk. We need to get him because
He could talk forever.
Yeah,
I
and
was a grad
his
student.
charisma
Our conversations
is
were 5 hours long.
yeah, but his charisma, and that's why I told him to get on TikTok, and I helped him come up with the Octopus guy. And I was just like, if only, I know that a lot of us, a lot of people who are drawn to the octopus, I don't know what it is about octopuses that really drives neurodivergent people to the octopus. I'm personally, is autistic, ADHD. Octopus for me is just, and Kurt, same there. And there is similarities I found between people that are really drawn to the octopus. Just even to be obsessed with an animal, even outside of just the human experience, you have to have less of an ego to kind of be drawn to this animal or pursue it. But where was I going with all this? Oh, the fact that I want Kurt he has a presentation that he's working on that I'd love to share with OctoNation, and we're going to make him do an event. And I hear that he's working on a book, so get ready for that. And so yeah, so just really cool. But just before we leave, I don't know if we have any time for any last minute questions.
There is a good
change
one.
that person's mind. I hope they love Octopus more this year now than last year.
Chloe's an animator, so I'm sure she's just studying different species, or she'll make her way back.
There was good ones about reproduction.
What was that one? Did you?
There was also one about your microbiome paper, Chelsea.
Oh.
Wow, we got a lot of different questions.
There was there was some.
That means we'll have to do this again for sure.
I was just gonna say that. I was like, maybe we just need another live.
Yeah, and definitely more videos. I love playing videos and talking through them just because. And this is what I remember about when I would do interview with an octopus. It was kind of the first things OctoNation did. And I heard from the audience, they were just like, can you please just leave the camera on the octopus the whole time and make yourself really small? And I can honestly say that it didn't hurt my feelings because octopuses are so much cooler than me and so much cooler than my face. And so I was like, no, fine. And so I did that, and people were just like, yes, this is what we want to see, because it's just so unusual, for people who live in landlocked states to just witness an octopus that's not in a reel or for 15 seconds just doing octopus things, and so it's really, really cool. Yeah, Sarah says, I'd appreciate more advance notice. I hear you for sure. We'll work on that.
We sure will.
But let's see.
Speaking of more advanced notice, we have an event tomorrow.
Yeah.
We've got another event tomorrow, and that is with, maybe Sam's still in the audience with Octopus, that we are doing how to draw an octopus tomorrow. Yes, they're amazing. So I think we chatted a little bit about, Octopus 101. Their arms, their mantle. I talked about their eyes, their pupils that are rectangular. We talked about their different types of camouflage or body patterns. So I feel like that's a good setup. That would be perfect for how to draw your octopus and I guess the unique spins you can put on it. So that is tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time.
I'll send another email.
Yeah, I did one post yesterday. We'll do another one. We can do another one tonight, and then we'll obviously be posting up until the event tomorrow with with the links and everything. And that's great feedback. You know, we know that sometimes if you promote too soon, then we don't want you to forget about, but I think we need to promote earlier, and then just like as it gets closer, just keep promoting.
And it's for those of you asking the time zone, it's tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time, so that means 12 p.m. Central Time and 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So there you have it. Any parting words from anybody? As far as research you're doing currently or right now, I guess we could kind of end with that. Like, what are you most excited about right now that you're doing, whether it be science communication, whether it be whatever it is? Like, what are you working on now? Shades, we'll have you go first.
First of all, sorry for the cats screaming in the background. I guess right now I'm most excited about pygmy octopuses. I've recently discovered that there are at least 3 species here in San Diego. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Well, that's actually a newly settled individual. I don't know what species. That is a pygmy octopus.
Nice.
They're so cute. They're just absolutely adorable. And I have 6 students. We're going to go out. We're going to try and film them in the field for the rest of this semester. So I'm really excited about that.
Cool. How about you, Meg?
I'm most excited. I leave for Japan tomorrow for the Cephalopod International Advisory Council Conference, where I will be presenting my research on RNA editing. So I'm very excited about that. And then otherwise, me and Kirt will hopefully have our paper out sometime soonish about RNA editing and transcriptomics in octopuses.
Nice.
So
And Meg has
I'm
a blog.
excited.
Meg has a blog on OctoNation on RNA editing if you want to look it up.
Yeah.
RNA. How about for
My
you?
pride and joy.
Yes.
I'm excited to get back into the water, to do some scuba diving, to get back into the field. I was just recently in Woods Hole, Massachusetts at the Marine Biological Laboratory doing a lot of lab work with octopuses. So that was super exciting, but now I'm back in South Florida. And we'll gear up for our octo season, I call it, in the springtime, where we'll do a lot of field work, answering a bunch of questions about octopus spatial ecology, tagging and tracking octopuses, how that Atlantic long arm that I talk about all the time, how it's burrowing as well. So we've got a lot of cool in the field projects coming up that I'm really excited about.
Cool. If those of you interested in OctoNation and OctoNation events, you can just go to our website, OctoNation.com, and put in your email address, and we'll send you an email before our events. So if you want some advance notice there, or if you want to get a notification sent to your email, again, just go to OctoNation.com, put in your email address there, and we'll send out a notification. But thank you all so much for coming out this evening. And
tune in tomorrow.
For sure. Tune in tomorrow. Bye, everyone.